Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You're back at your favorite spot, the best podcast on the planet, the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Today, I want to invite you to meet my guest, Michelle Lange. She's a woman of great resilience, a 3-time author that has overcome and dealt with the effects of cancer. Now she is being a motivational and inspirational support to other people that are going through that. We're going to talk a little bit about grief and loss of children and, spouses, and just how to grapple with that, how to get our head and hearts around that and still be excited about life. So many times we lose and we feel that our life is over because of things that happen to us or for us. We don't know, but we have to forge ahead. All of us have a soul contract and we must fulfill it. And so we're going to talk to Michelle about that and a whole lot more. Let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Michelle?
I'm wonderful, thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful too. Just trying to hang in here and deal with the realities of this thing called life because it has ebbs and flows. And a lot of times it's hard to, again, get your head around what's going on. You don't know from one minute to the next, but we forge ahead, we stay inspired, and we encourage others. Tell everybody a little bit about who you are and how you show up in the world.
Well, my name is Michelle Lang. I'm originally from down under in the beautiful country of New Zealand. That's my homeland. I grew up there and left when I was 20 and came on an adventure to the United States. And I have been here since 1986. And I would have to say, as difficult as it was to leave my homeland, the gift and blessings that have come because of taking a hold of an adventure and an opportunity to move to the United States, it certainly has fulfilled its promise for me. My background in the last 10 years has been about raising my granddaughter who I adopted, and she has some special circumstances that require a lot of time, energy, and knowledge input. And I love her so very much. And I'm so grateful for the gift of having her in my life because she is here for me. I'm not here for her. Because of her life experiences, I have pushed myself into a space of seeing parenting from her perspective and her life challenges and how that changes how we parent. How do I show up in life? I show up by finding ways to see the good, understanding that we all will feel challenged at some point in time. Some of us, it might be daily, and that's okay. There is always, in the darkest of moments, a smidgen of light. We just have to find a way to choose, and let me say that again, choose how to show up. And I think that my life and my life experiences has enabled me to truly see a gift through the lens of my spiritual eyes, where the good is, how to give grace, compassion, and understanding to those around me, whether they're closely connected with me or it's just day to day interactions. And I think the phrase that showed up around that was called soul languages. We all have them. Some of them are in greater quantity than others. And I like to share how my soul languages enable me to connect with the world, my family, those I haven't met. And one of the ways I do that is with my spoken word, writing, posts on social media, and art. And
Well,
that's me in a nutshell.
well, that's a full container. It really is.
Mhm.
And I'm so glad that you were able to open that container and pour into others because this world is at a breaking point right now. We are cracking into another dimension. Brains, I know you probably say, she says that all the time because it's true. This is not the day of old. We are going into a universal alignment of synchronicity and vibration that has never been tapped by us in this meat suit before. Are we ready to rise to the occasion and meet it? Yes, I'm apprehensive. Yes, I'm nervous, but I'm also excited because I am preparing myself for this journey. Michelle, you had a journey with cancer.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about that and what you learned from that experience.
I think that initially, when I discovered that I had a lump in my breast, I was grateful for my mum teaching me about BSE, and that's breast self-examinations. From the time I was 16 till now, I've spent time doing that. So I had an understanding of how to orient myself to my body, and that when there were strange things going on, particularly at the point of time when I discovered a lump, obviously, as a human being, we doubt what we experience is like, this can't be happening. And for a moment, that's what it felt like. But however, my gut checked me in and said, Michelle, you need to go do something about it. You need to um, go do some research. And then I had a spiritual experience that allowed me to truly understand what was ahead of me. And so I took that to heart, and it was a voice of warning that says you're going to have breast cancer. Even though I hadn't had my diagnosis and hadn't yet been to the doctor, I had started research to understand what symptoms and if really what I was experiencing was truly a lump. So I went to work and followed my heart. And sure enough, I had lumps, not just one, but two, one under my armpit and my lymph nodes, and one in my right breast. The day that I had the mammogram done, I remember talking to the radiologist who was really quite frank about the situation. And we hadn't even gone to the consultation room yet.
Hmm.
And I felt this immense amount of strength and courage. And I was grateful for that. Yes, it's a challenging and difficult moment to come to terms with your own mortality, right? However, a really great friend taught me there's information you don't know yet. So don't put yourself on the edge of anticipating something that hasn't completely arrived. So it was true. I didn't have all the information. I knew it was confirmed I had lumps in my breast and under my armpit. However, what percentage of what that was about, I didn't know until uh, several days later, I was able to have a biopsy. And when I walked into that biopsy, I'm grateful for who I am because it wasn't like this is a death sentence. It was hook me up to some music. Let's get down while you're performing the procedure so that I can chill and be comfortable and find joy in this moment. Have conversations that are humorous with the technicians who were doing the biopsy, and their reply to me was, "We've never seen anybody who's had such a great attitude about what's about to happen in their life." And I said, "Well, that's the start of it. It's our attitude that we bring to a situation. We decide how we want to show up, not for the sake of other people, but really for ourselves." So I had decided that when I went to my biopsy, yes, I was apprehensive, normal, scared, normal, um, nervous, normal, because I didn't, nervous was about, not about what I was going to find out, but I'd never had a biopsy before in my entire life. So I didn't know what to expect, what that would feel like, what would they do. The gratitude came when these wonderful people, because they saw my presence of attitude, being positive and upbeat, every step of the way, they gave me instructions on what to expect, what to anticipate, and what was happening. And I thought to myself, yay, it truly is. However you show up is what you get back.
Well, you can't overthink situations.
No,
And that's
no,
another one of my mottos. Stop and go by fact-based information. You did your research, you were prepared. And that's half the battle. A lot of times people don't even do that. I know a friend of mine is going to have a procedure done, and they said, "Oh, okay, well, we want you to go in and have this procedure done." But I've never met the surgeon. You've never met the surgeons. You've never had a conversation with them. You're just going to go in with some stranger and say, "Oh, okay, invade my body, extract what you need to, and it's going to be all fine and dandy." Well, it may be second nature to them, but this is the first time and it's an experience for you. And brains also, what I want to encourage you to do is how you respond. That's the big thing.
yeah,
You'll have a situation and you will just fly off the rails. And it's really not that serious. Or sometimes you're very lackadaisical and you don't take it as seriously as you should. Find a happy medium there, like Michelle did. Do your research, have your questions, go in with optimism. You're going to be a skeptic because you don't know what you don't know.
yeah.
But know that this is happening for you and it's also happening to you. And
I
you
think
have to
that's a
take control of
great
that.
part that you said. It's happening for you and to you. And let me say what happening for you looks like. One word, synchronicity.
Mm.
I couldn't have imagined that from the moment I went to my primary care physician to confirm what was going on in my body, that the universe would be so synchronized for me. And it looked like this. Went to the doctor. They went to go book the mammogram to check to see what's happening with the lumps. Initially, it was a 2 week wait. Within 5 to 10 minutes of hearing that, there was a yell from the nurses, hold up, wait, wait. Next week, Tuesday. Just like that, everything aligned. And then the same thing happened once I went in and had my mammogram. Synchronicity happened again for my biopsy. Everything came with a flow. And then when it came time to talk to the surgeon or the oncology team, everything was had some synchronicity for me right when it needed to be, because there were so many moving parts to come together, and my own mental and emotional well-being needed room to breathe through each step. And because of where I was at, it allowed me to go through that process with a flow and actually be present to saying, I am so grateful how this is all lining up. It,
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you've also had other challenges too. You had, I believe, a loss of a child
I
and a
have,
husband.
yeah,
So you have experienced grief on many levels because, again, the diagnosis is a grieving process. And there is a process. It's not ABC. Sometimes you're going to bargain. Sometimes you're going to negotiate. Sometimes you're going to be fearful and cry. Other times you're going to be angry and resentful. And then other times you're just going to surrender and accept it. Tell us a little bit about how you were able to come to grips with the loss of your child. Now, was it your child and your husband, or just your child or your husband?
well, I've lost two children in my lifetime and a husband. So the first time I lost a child was in 1998. I was living in New Zealand at the time. I had left America and gone home for a period of time. Excuse me. And I knew I was pregnant. It was okay to travel. And then one day I had a gut feeling that something wasn't right. It didn't feel okay. So I went to the doctor and they said, well, you need to go have an ultrasound, and they started the ultrasound. Um, Everything seemed to be okay. And then, about a week or two later, went in for another, said, just things is just still not feeling okay. I went and had a second ultrasound, only this time it was a lot more scary. Uh, there was no doubt they could not find a heartbeat. And just the look on the tech's face of, all of a sudden the air is filled with this darkness. It's what it felt like. And I'm like, oh, you kind of see those red flags while the event's happening. You're ticking it off, like going, yeah, there's no heartbeat. I can't see the image well enough. Okay, there's something going on. The hesitation, the long gaps between conversations, the hold on, I'll be right back. Um, Losing my first son, uh, the biggest challenge of that was being present to three children I already had. And that was difficult because I slipped into a depression, a mini one, because of the autonomic response of grief, of losing a child, a hope of a child. And at the time, my husband was living in the US. I was living in New Zealand. I was raising and taking care of my kids, getting acclimated back to New Zealand. And here I was trying to figure out how to bury a child, take care of my three children, and be present to them because I had a feeling that if I wasn't, that would hurt them in the future. Because as parents, being front and center and juggling uh, where we're at as individuals and then being there present for our children, it's not an easy task. However, with wisdom, I understood that I needed to be present as much as I could and
Absolutely.
make sure that circumstances around the loss came with some parts of joy. And being Maori, having funerals for our loved ones is called a tangi, and we it is done over a period of 3 days. So I couldn't have been in a better place to have to bury a child, which is such an unfortunate circumstance, but also there is my cultural aspects that help me to come to that place with love and understanding that there is joy in this moment because we celebrate the hope, the love, and the understanding of this child that was to be, but also it was a coming together for me and my siblings. We hadn't seen each other for a number of years.
Right.
So we were in my homeland, in the house that I grew up in, all four four of us together in one room. And
And
all
that brought
because we
back the
yes.
unity and the synchronicity of, and the community. And that's what
Yep.
it is about, is absolutely about community. So you lost your first child, then you lost the second child, and then you lost your husband, and then
Yep.
you went through, the cancer, but you decided not to let that uh, stunt your growth, should I say. You became an
No.
author, the author of not one, not two, but three books. And you're going to share with us an excerpt of one of your books. Show us the title of it, and they all can be purchased on Amazon. We'll put all that information in the back. And then you're going to read us an excerpt. This is Wellness GPS. Get prepared for success. That is amazing. Now, who is that on the cover? Is that your parents?
This is Peggy Willems and Marcus Weinstein. They are the brainchild of this anthology book that has many, many authors in it. And as a co-author, I wrote my excerpt about origins.
Mm.
So, it, how do you say? It was a moment of coming together, of learning and understanding how I got to the place of getting through cancer
Mm.
and what were the contributing things that helped me get through. It's like saying, it's like I keep saying to myself, cancer was the place that caused um, a great awakening to understand that all my life experiences came to the pinnacle of this one point
Mm.
where everything that I learned, everything that I experienced was put into play for that experience, and the origins of my beliefs and the origins of things that I needed to heal from were part of that process of cancer. Cancer was about, for me, was about not just healing from cancer, but healing me.
Right.
Lots of things happened during that journey. So, what I'm going to read to you is a couple of paragraphs under the heading that was interweaved, interlaced into this writing. There was um, a phrase that I coined, which I think is very fitting for the show. And it says, personal evolution comes with the price of embracing life's challenges.
Mm.
We all have a price at some point. We have negative prices and costs and impacts. We also have positive ones, positive impacts and prices, which are blessings and learning and understanding off the back of negative. I learned to face life's hardest moments with faith the size of a mustard seed, allowing me to move my mountains. These trials built a strong fabric within me, ready for any hardship. This journey has taught me that embracing change and staying true to oneself is the path to personal evolution. The mountains I faced were the emotional Andes of life, scary moments when traveling the unknown alone. In 1998, I felt the first pang of severe pain as I gave birth to a son who died in vitro. His lifeless body could fit in my hand. In disbelief, I pushed through the delivery of the placenta as my sisters called for those who were waiting to whisk him away to make preparations. I had a boy, a son. I am forever grateful for my sisters who watched me climb that mountain that day and held out their hands to keep me steady. That's about the part of the when I first lost my son. So if life is a mountain and we need to get over them, as in climb, we need to find a way to allow those challenges to work through us so that we keep what helps us to be strong and we let go of those things that don't benefit our growth, our resilience, and our life in the future.
Well, it's all about taking that one step forward. Brains, in life, you're going to have to do a dance. It's called the cha cha. Sometimes you go up, you go back, you go side to side, but it's movement. That is what the key is. You have to be willing to be fluid and to move through and push through. That's not to say that it's all going to be rainbows and sunshines, because the things that challenge us and hurt us the most in life are truly our best teachers. And we are here on this planet for two reasons. One is to learn, and the other one is to teach. And so we need to be open to that. We all have a responsibility to ourselves before family, before our children. You know, people say when you say your prayers, I don't pray for my family first. I pray to God first, and I pray for me, because if I am not whole, uh, it's a mute point. And I know that you are a strong woman of faith, that you went to a college that was primarily faith based there in New Zealand. And I want to ask you just one question about the culture there, because from my dealings and experience dealing with uh, people from New Zealand, Australia, or Tasmania, I find that there is more of a universal synergy alignment than a spiritual doctrine and indoctrination through the book. That's not true for everyone. But how did that, in conjunction with your tribal roots, because that's very different as well. How did all of these things help you find a spiritual balance in your world?
I think it's a lifetime journey of trying to, not trying to, of understanding yourself in that spiritual space in conjunction with your culture. I know it has been that way for me. Uh, my culture is very much rooted in understanding land, water, air, sky, and how do we connect ourselves to those elements? Are we coming to that place with respect and honor? And the mind and the body are very important in my culture. And there is a sense of great respect and honor that we must give, particularly our brain, our heninaro, in life. And I think that because my life was filled with an extended family, my grandparents, my great grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, all over the place, that it gave me a vision of cult, our culture through the collective of my tribe with my family. And then when I left, the things that my mum taught me were carried with me here in my heart, and they were not let go and forgotten because when life happened, I already knew what it was I needed to do. I already knew how I needed to show up for myself in respect of the situation and for all those who were involved. I think that my lineage, my whakapapa, lends to seeing women as strong. And independence isn't part of that, it's interdependence. Having humility to ask for support and help, and that we have grace that's sufficient to bring all things together. It's not about separate, it's about combining everything and the richness of your culture and your spiritual self together as one to enable you to explore possibilities that bring a great sense of belief that you can um,
Absolutely.
you can achieve, you can grow, you can learn. And also, there's a sense of belonging to
Right.
yourself and your culture, and that helps you to uh, grow and expand your horizon and your sphere of more than just faith.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you have to walk by faith, not by sight.
Yes,
Well, you know,
truly you
you
do.
have to believe. So we have done the heavy lifting. We have talked about some really intense things. Let's have some fun. Okay. If you were a bird, Michelle Lang, what type of bird would you be and why?
The first bird that came to mind is a tui, and it's a New Zealand native bird. It's has a vibrant blue black iridescent feathers with a white tuft
Oh,
at the neck. And when it sits, it stands tall in its structure. It doesn't go like that. When you every time you see it stand and it's moving like this, just almost regal, but also you can see a strength in the way it shows itself. It stands up. It's here. You're aware of it, and yeah, I love it. I've loved it since I was little. So yeah, that bird.
yeah. If you were an appliance in the kitchen of all places, what appliance would you be and why?
I think because I'm an artist, I would be like a handheld blender because in life you got to mix it up.
Yeah.
And when you cook, it's like color me happy, people. Let's go get creative. It has a way where you can take the hard, literally the hard. ingredients, and you can chop them up and you can get creative in other ways to um, facilitate what's happening in the kitchen.
Absolutely. Mixing it up is very important to pull all the ingredients of life together. Color. What color represents your aura the most?
That's a hard question. I would have to say, this is kind of like a technical phrase, blush pink. Why? Because when you look at the family orientation where blush pink comes from, it's from a red. Red is fire, red is intensity, red is strength, courage, and it illuminates. And the three colors of a traditional meeting house in New Zealand are red, black, and white. And I identify with the color red for myself personally as one of the colors I like. But I think that blush pink is, and I'll give you this analogy, is like a fresh baked cookie. It's crispy on the outside, just enough so that the cookie doesn't crumble.
Mm,
And there's a tenderness in the center. So if blush pink is from red, there's that strength and courage that, like that cookie, holds it together. But you need to be soft enough to be strong and pliable to know and understand what compassion, humility, and understanding are about.
that's deep. That's deep. I want a cookie now. If what's left on your life list? What is one guilty pleasure that you want not selfless for other people, but selfish for you? What is there something that you want to do?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Selflessly for me. Well, selflessly for me at the moment, I'm going back to school to finish my bachelor's so that I can selfishly um, finish prerequisites to enter in to get my master's in social work.
Oh,
That is a selfless act at the moment. Something for fun would be I want to go back to New Zealand to visit my family.
oh, that would be funny. And that'd be beautiful. Tell me one thing that you remember growing up as a child in New Zealand. I came to Australia and my friends were telling me, you know what, you stopped one country short. You need to go to New Zealand. What is it about New Zealand?
It is green. It is beautiful. It's picturesque. The people back home are so warm and helpful and encouraging, and at least in my family, and they will give you the shirt off their back. And it's not just picturesque. There is a great sense about New Zealand that when you go, you want to go often. And most people say they never want to leave. What do I remember about my childhood? Well, things like a game called Knuckle Bones. Um, Kids, for fun, parents would take the knuckle bones out of sheep meat and they would dry them out, and there would be we would have five. Yeah, we need five to play the game. And it's like the New Zealand version of playing jacks. So then they changed it from actually using bone to making metal knuckle bones. And so there was lights and heavies. And I remember sitting around as a kid, not watching TV, playing knuckle bones or Chinese jump rope or hopscotch. And, we'd play hopscotch and then sit down, oh no, let's play knuckle bones. And instead of using knuckle bones because we didn't have enough, we'd go find small stones and do the same thing as if we were playing jacks. It's the best way I can describe it. And the sense of feeling at that time when I was growing up as it was safe. You could stay outside till the sun went down. Then dad whistled. It's like, it's time to get inside. Let's go. You know, you enjoyed and appreciated life and you were very present to what was in front of you in
Right.
that moment. We didn't worry about TV. It wasn't a big deal. Maybe on Sunday night we watched Vincent Price horror shows, but other than that, it was like, yeah. And even when TV did really show up, it was limited because what we really wanted to do was go climb that tree and wander through a field that had grass that was 3 feet tall. It was about exploring the outside, and TV was like, yeah, well, give or take, no big deal.
Well, people have to get back to enjoying the simplicity of life. And you have been through so many metamorphoses of change. You have come from the caterpillar to the butterfly, and now you are rising like the phoenix. And I am so glad that you have shared your story of inspiration, resilience, and encouragement with our team, with our team of brains, that you are going back to school because you want to continue the work of being social and helping others, and continue your writing and your art. Please tell my brains how to get in contact with you, Michelle, if they want to purchase a copy of one of your books. They want to follow you on social media because she has a wonderful presence, brains. Easy breezy, words of encouragement that incite you and ignite you. Please tell my brains how to get in contact with you.
You can reach me at my email. I actually have we haven't mentioned it here. I have a podcast of all places at a small community radio station down in New Zealand. It's called Michelle Moments. And my email is Michelle, Michelle, moments, Moments, info, at gmail.com. Reach me there if you want to know how to get a copy of the book. I'll send you a link. I'm actually, you know, open to hearing other people's stories and sharing them on my show. Or if you just need words of encouragement and upliftment, I'm here to listen.
Well, that is amazing, and we're going to put all of your information there on the back end. Now, the podcast, who was housing the podcast? Are you on what platform so people can Google you?
It's with Radio Hawke's Bay, Hawkes, new word Bay, Bay. They're hosting the podcast. It's a community radio station, and the show's called Michelle Moments. It's about an hour, a couple of times a month. You're welcome to go check it out. I can get you a link if you want to share it.
Absolutely. 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 So thank you so much, from the bottom of my heart. It's really a lot to pull back the layers of your life, and it brings tears because sometimes, it's that, but tears are also cleansing. And so we want you to be pure at heart, mind, soul, thoughts, and your body. Brains, go in. Check out other edgy conversations. We are moving. We are moving over to Spreaker, part of the Apple family. But you will not miss a moment of great information. You will be able to Google anybody's name, find us all over the planet. I want to thank you for your love and for your support and for your encouragement, for continuing to listen to me for over 25 years. This podcast has just made me so smart and heady, and I hope it's done the same for you. Thank you so much again, Michelle Lange, for being on the edge with me and my brains. We wish you the best.
Thank you.
Bye, brains. Have a good day.